So, what if you could hit a total reset button on your brain? You know, the one that feels completely fried and burnt out. And I'm not talking about taking a week-long vacation. I'm talking about doing it in a single 24-hour period. It sounds kind of crazy, right? Well, today we're diving into this really powerful Japanese concept that says it's possible. It's called Seijaku.
I know, it's a huge claim. Can you really heal your brain in just 24 hours? Undo all that damage from the constant notifications, the endless scrolling? It sounds almost impossible, right? But stick with me, because the how behind this might just blow your mind.
And the framework we use to do this? Well, a lot of people call it monk mode. Basically, you can think of it as like a tactical retreat. You're intentionally stepping away from all the chaos of modern life, just for a little while, with one single goal: to find some real, deep clarity. Okay, so let's talk about your overstimulated brain. We need to understand the enemy within. Because honestly, before we can even think about the solution, we've got to get real about the problem. And the problem, the biggest obstacle we're all facing, it isn't something external. Nope, it's the war for our attention that's going on right inside our own heads. I mean, just think about it for a second. The constant noise. Your day probably starts with it, right? Pings, dings, emails, notifications. It's just this relentless barrage of sounds and alerts, all screaming for your attention from the second you open your eyes. And then, of course, come the endless feeds. You pick up your phone and you just start scrolling. It's this infinite stream of videos, pictures, opinions, news. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose, and there's just no off switch. It's literally designed to keep you glued to the screen. And what's the end result of all this? Digital exhaustion. It's that weird feeling, right? You're tired, but you're also kind of wired. You're completely unfocused. You feel drained, like you've run a marathon, even if you haven't really done anything. I'm guessing that sounds pretty familiar to a lot of you. Okay, so here's where things get really, really interesting. Because on a brain level, all that overstimulation, it's actively messing with a super important part of your brain called the default mode network, or DMN for short. Now, just think of your DMN as your brain's creative playground. It's your mental home base. It's the place where your mind wanders, where you connect random ideas, where you reflect on stuff, and where all those amazing aha moments come from. But here's the problem. When that home base, your DMN, is constantly being bombarded by notifications and infinite scrolling, it never gets a break. It never gets the quiet downtime it needs to actually do its job. So it gets all fragmented and just overworked. And that, right there, is precisely why you feel so scattered, so unfocused, and just completely drained all the time. All right, so let's get to the good stuff, the power of Seijaku, the elegant solution. Because here's the really good news. There is a way to fight back. There's a powerful, elegant way to push back against all that noise and take back your own mental space. And the answer, believe it or not, comes from this amazing ancient Japanese idea. And that solution is a concept called Seijaku. It translates to something like active stillness. And let me be clear, this is not about being lazy or just doing nothing. Not at all. It's about finding this deep, calm serenity right in the middle of all the chaos. It's about being still, but with a real purpose. And this little chart here, it perfectly shows the mindset shift we're aiming for. You're moving away from that state of overstimulation, where you're just reactive, everything feels chaotic, your focus is fragmented, and you're moving towards active stillness, a state where you are intentional, calm, and feel whole. It's really the difference between being the pinball, getting bounced around by everything, and being the person who's actually in control of the paddles. And this quote, this really gets to the heart of it all. It is not about escaping the world, but finding stillness within it. See, the goal isn't to run away and hide from everything forever. It's about learning how to build this internal fortress of calm, a place of stillness inside you that you can go to whenever you need it, no matter what's going on outside. So, the ultimate goal. What's the big prize at the end of all this? What do you actually get out of doing this 24-hour reset? Let's break it down because the benefits, they're huge. Okay, so the healing process basically boils down to two major steps. First, by starving your brain of all those cheap, easy dopamine hits you get from your phone, your whole reward system starts to reset. Your natural drive, your real motivation starts to come back. And then, step 2, in that quiet, your default mode network, remember that creative playground? It finally gets a chance to breathe and begin to heal. And the result of that? Your focus comes back sharper than ever, and you get this incredible sense of mental clarity.
And the most incredible part of this entire thing, the thing that kickstarts this massive mental shift, it's just 24 hours. That's all it takes to start the reset.
So at the end of the day, the objective is really, really simple. Heal your brain from overstimulation. That's it. It's about making that transformation, moving from a mind that feels scattered and chaotic to one that feels calm, focused, and whole again. It is quite literally a hard reset for your brain. So, will you take the challenge? The decision is yours. We've talked about the problem, this constant overstimulation, and we've talked about the beautiful solution, Seijaku. So now we're at the final, most important question.
So I'm just going to leave you with this one question. Now that you know the true cost of all this constant distraction, and now that you've seen the incredible promise of finding real, deep clarity, are you ready for the reset? Because all that quiet, all that focus, it's just waiting for you.